brings it down. Viney, gone again. The D's will have one final crack. Powell with the flight. Oh, Brave spills the way of Harms, though, to Willis. Oh, the mark spilt. Any score will do, and will do. Tom McDonald wins it with a poster. Melbourne have come from 6 points down in the final minute to save their season.
How good's the 6-6-6? That's what the D's are saying after the weekend's performance against the Gold Coast Suns. In the olden days, they would have had no chance to win that, but they won it by a point, and Tom McDonald was the hero with literally a last-second score to win the game by the solitary point, 61-60 against the Gold Coast Suns on the weekend. He joins us, the hero, on a Monday morning. G'day, Tom.
I really don't think you should call me a hero. Thank you. Thanks for having me on for a chat, but yeah, don't call me a hero after dropping that sort of mark.
Well, it's all part of the fun. It's about theatre, creating theatre for the fans, Tom. You're just giving them bang for their buck.
Yeah, my poor grandma was crying. And
It was a wounded duck.
Again, so,
it was a wounded duck kick at you anyway, wasn't it, Tom? It wasn't a.
Sorry, it wasn't a what?
It was a wounded duck flying at you, a floater.
It came. Harmsy's one was, and then mine came off the top of my shin as well into the post. So, look, it wasn't pretty, and I'm guessing it was a very ugly game to watch. I haven't seen any of it yet, but look, we needed it and we won, so that's all that matters.
Just on that, you said an ugly game, but like, I don't think enough credit's been given to Gold Coast because there's a trend that they're a hard team to play against. So how did you guys approach the game, and then how did you feel playing against Gold Coast, and what was it like?
Oh, it was an extremely difficult game to play. We approached it knowing that would be exactly the way they wanted to play it. We watched their game against West Coast from a week or two ago where it was a similar type game, except West Coast broke them open a bit, but just really long contests. They just seemed to have repeat ball-ups all around the ground, and we knew that would be the case. Look, it's actually an extremely frustrating game to play in, especially in the first half. I think the score was about 23-25, and I think we had opportunities to score, but just we butchered a few. But they just seemed to just hang on, and they get a finger in, and they tackle at the last minute, and it just ruined any scoring opportunities. And we were getting really frustrated by that. But by sticking at it, we got a bit lucky, but we were able to win it in the end. But we knew that's what sort of game it was. We were just hoping maybe we could break it open in the last quarter, which we weren't quite able to do.
And do you feel like a game like that, because they make it so difficult, is like a really pleasing thing? Because we saw the emotion after the game, and obviously because of the circumstances where you're at, but just the feeling of beating a team like that, because they are hard games to play against and they're a hard opposition, so they're almost more kind of pleasing wins as such.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, and I feel like it's a little bit like what we went through with Roosie, and a bit like what Sydney were like for a while, where the entire game was just focused on winning one-on-one contests around the ground. And I'm not sure if you sort of thought the same thing when you played Sydney back when Roosie was the coach, but every single person pretty much just had a man to beat. It was almost like local footy with extra skill level in, but it was just you had a task to outwork your man, and I feel like they're playing a similar way at the moment, and it's working for them. They're staying in games. They won their first 3 or 4, and they've had a couple of unlucky losses. But I feel like that's a phase we went through with Roosie, and we didn't win many games for the year, but we could feel the sort of culture of our team turning when that started to happen, and it led to us having improvement each year. And we've taken a little bit of a step backwards at the start of this year, but that's the sort of footy we want to play with a few extra layers added onto it.
Take us through that last minute or so, Tom, and your mindset. Are you nervous? Are you excited? Do you want the ball to come down near you, or do you prefer someone else to have it? What was it like that last minute for you?
Yeah, it's an interesting feeling. I've had a couple of games before where sometimes you can be a bit overawed by the moment, but for some reason I felt more in it this time, and I had a similar feeling against West Coast a couple of years ago when I actually got to kick the winning goal, where for some reason I just felt I'm going to get a chance here. And on the first goal that we needed from Marty Hall, we got the message come out from the runner. The runner can only come every goal now, so that makes it quite difficult to know how much time is. We got told about 50 seconds, so we knew we needed to score straight away. We pulled everyone back to the goal square, and I remember talking to Melksham. I said, let's get everyone in the square and try and block for each other. I'm going to try and lead up straight away. And actually, as Marty goes to kick it, I come into screen leading up. So what we'd actually talked about worked, but just lucky enough that Marty had enough space to run into it. And on the last one, we didn't get a message with how much time, but we were assuming 10 to 15 seconds based on how much had happened with with the last play. So we were like, geez, we just have to almost try and get a rush behind or a spoil through. So on the kick that Harmsy had from 50, my initial thought was maybe go to my man and body him up and try and get it through the line, even if it's a point, just body him up and get a rush behind on that one. But he's kicked a nice helicopter, and I could have probably spoiled it through. Should have taken the mark. There might be a bit more prestige in going back and kicking the winning goal, but the point counts. So.
What's that going to do for you?
That's all I can say.
Yeah, what's that going to do for you, Tom? Because obviously you haven't had the year you had last year, and I know it's not through not trying. You're almost trying too hard at times, but they kind of need you to be up firing. Is that something that could potentially spark you as well to be involved in that final phase?
Yeah, it's interesting pickup you just said that, because I feel like I've had a pretty poor start to the year, and I'm a person who likes to try different things if things aren't working, which sometimes probably goes to my detriment. I reckon sometimes I was almost trying too hard, wanting it too much. And I don't know, Brendan, if you ever went through the same thing in a form slump, what your sort of method was. Maybe, could you tell me what you did if you ever went through a patch where you couldn't touch the footy or couldn't do what you
Yeah, no, I did, mate. And what you just said, it was 2010. I just, not to pump myself up, but Mike Sheen just came out and said I was second best player in the competition, I think, arguably the best. And I said I trained as hard as I ever did in the pre-season, because it can go one of two ways. Generally you can drink your own bathwater and be happy with yourself, and then being named the second best or best player in the competition, or you can go down the hard path. And I took the hard path and said I'm going to train harder than I ever did. And then my first 6 weeks of footy were terribly. I was getting tagged, but I was getting nowhere near it. But a good friend of mine who's a golfer actually said sometimes you have to give up control to gain control. And then that kind of clicked that, and with discussions over the first 6 weeks with the numerous people, is that I was just trying too hard. I was trying too hard to do well and, live up to the expectations of being named the second best player in the competition. So I actually stopped trying. And, my GPS, and you're a good runner too, I was a couple of games I did nearly 18 Ks and I got 15 touches. Like, the maths just doesn't add up. So I found myself in between contests, getting stuck, and it takes away that instinctive side of football. So I just went back to, mentally just not overthinking it, and trying to play more instinctive footy, and my form eventually turned within a couple of weeks. So maybe that's a little cliche you can run with, but yeah, just stop trying so hard and
just chill out, Tom. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, no, and you can dig a bit deeper into it, which you seem like a man that will. But yeah, essentially you can try too hard and it'll be the detriment of to your game.
Well, I've sort of felt the same thing. Not that I was the second best player in the comp, but I thought I've had a reasonable year last year in a new role and was able to really contribute. And then I've had a good pre-season where it's the first time in 3 years where I haven't really had a major surgery. So these other years I've had big time off, and I'm like, yep, great, I'm going to have a full pre-season essentially, and should be able to improve. And then it doesn't come for you early in the season, and it's just, it's frustrating. You're trying different things at training and trying to work harder and harder and do extra weights and stuff, and it's almost the last week or so I've just tried to relax a little bit, and it started to come back a bit on the weekend.
Yeah, stop caring. Just give up control.
Stop caring and maybe get a touch. So, but on the form, I feel like I got back to a little bit better on the weekend, started to mark the ball a bit better. I didn't have my best game, but I felt I was able to contribute and, hitting the scoreboard's a nice one, kicked a couple of goals, but it was more, I just felt like I was in the contest a bit more and I wasn't stuck in between players. It wasn't the ball going over my head all the time. So there's still a lot more to give, and hopefully if I can give that, it'll help the team with our scoring, giving us a good option to go forward, because sometimes we're just kicking in hope a fair bit. So I've got a big role to play in that.
Yeah, I don't think you've been helped by your teammates a lot of the time, Tom, but was there a bit of sort of, if you put a lot of pressure on yourself with Hogan not there anymore, that it kind of like, well, you've got to be the man now, and maybe that contributed to it a little bit?
Oh, yeah, maybe, possibly. But there was probably a natural expectation that I wanted to keep getting better anyway.
Yeah.
I was watching Jesse run around last night and thinking about how we did work together pretty well, but also worked well with Sam last year in the finals. And when he started playing well, we were going really well together. He's unfortunately wasn't playing well either, and he's had a slight injury in the VFL, so he'll be out for a little while. But I feel like we've had last year had a really good rapport with Melksham. And I know he's not a tall forward, but I seem to work really well with him, and that hasn't clicked as much so far, but that was starting to come back as well. So there's other guys. It wasn't just with Jesse, but there was some games with Jesse where I feel like we really worked well together, moving around and blocking for each other.
Well, a chance to do it all again next Friday night over in the West. A tough road double for you, the Melbourne Football Club, the Gold Coast Metricon Stadium trip, and then Perth for Optus Stadium. Wish you the best of luck, Tom. Nice to chat as always, mate. Stay well and stop caring so much.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the advice. That might help me. So thanks, boys.